Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to week 4. Yes, our final week of Simple Content Formula, where I have encouraged you to have a go with using LinkedIn and really get it working for your business so that you can get those all important leads and sales coming into your business. Now, I appreciate not everybody can make it today, so I've obviously will record it and be sending this out to you. But what I suggest you do when you watch along is to try and have another screen up with your laptop open, computer screen, whichever it is, to actually follow along, because then you can get all these notifications sorted out before during this session, so that you're not thinking, oh, I've got to go back and do that, because it can be really, really painful to do that. So what we're going to do is go through and take our little temperature check. You know, I like to do this at the beginning of every session just to see where we've got to, where we've moved on to. So if you can use the chat function, here we are on the 16th of August. If you could let me know how many days a week you're posting, how often you're engaging with content, how often are you commenting on posts. We've talked a lot about it's been social media. It's not just broadcast media. You want to be commenting on other people's content, because that's how you catch their eye and that's how you add value to the other conversations that are going on LinkedIn. And those recommendations, has anyone given another recommendation this week? I don't expect a huge number of those, but it would be great to sort of see that you've been able to keep going with it, because it's a very, very useful tool. So reminding ourselves, this is why we're investing. We want to save ourselves all that money of employing somebody else to look after our social media for us. So if we can learn the ropes and learn all the tips and tricks and the way we can keep it as minimalistic in terms of time as possible, then we can save ourselves upwards of £500, $600 every single month. And, you know, the all important, getting those new leads in, you have to be visible, you have to be seen by your potential clients, so your audience out there. And you know, by being out there and posting and commenting and adding your view to other things that are on LinkedIn, you're really showing what your values and beliefs are, and it helps somebody decide whether you're the right fit for them when you're working with them. And we want more leads and sales in our business, don't we? So if you don't want more leads and sales, well, why are you in business, quite honestly? So hopefully you are on the same page. Now, this is what we've looked at over the weeks. We've looked at engagement. We've looked at optimizing our accounts, setting it up for success. And I believe most of you have had a chance to do that. And Whitney, I saw your lovely video, so I know you've done your video cover story. Well done. I will be going around having a little look at everybody else's. And then last week we looked at the art of messaging, because it's hugely important for us, isn't it, to get our message across, to be starting those conversations slightly offline, still in the platform, but personal one-to-one conversations. And this week I wanted to look at navigating your notifications, because we can get overwhelmed. We know every platform's got notifications, and if you're working on various different devices, you'll see those notifications again and again. That's one of my biggest frustrations, is they don't seem to be able to tell that you've already looked at them on another device. That would be a really, really useful thing for them to be able to show us. So where do we start with them? Where do we start with our notifications? So I'm going to dive in, and I'd love it if you could follow along, because it will just, you don't want to have to come back to this. If we do it, it's done, and then you can move on. There may be things that you want to change down the line. You might think, oh, I'm not getting enough in the way of notifications, or maybe I'm getting too many, and then you can change them. But if you can get yourself set up now, then that'll save you a whole heap of interruptions later on. Now I am down to one screen, so I'm going to do the share screen function from here. So hopefully this will work. Could you just give me a little yes in the chat if that's showing? Not sure if I can actually see the chat. So I'm going to accept that it is. So here is my profile. And what I'm going to do is, let me just move that little one over there because it's just in the way. Underneath your profile picture where it says me, you'll see a little drop down there. And that drop down gives you your view profile. We've looked at this before, but if you come slightly further down, you'll see settings and privacy. You can also look back and see what posts you've created, particularly if you've got maybe a schedule, you've got a Google Sheet and you've written 5 in a row, for example, and you've just taken one to copy and paste. Sometimes it can just be a good reminder to have a quick look back to check that you haven't used it already. You can also look at activity, which is what you have liked and commented on as well. But today I wanted to look at settings and privacy. So let's click on there. And there's a whole heap of stuff. Keep moving that around in here. So let's start at the top. Account preferences. So this is very much to do with your profile and what you've put in. So we've done all this really on creating the profile. So I'm going to, that's taken me back again. Bear with me. Let's go back to settings and privacy. So you'll see things like, do you want to have it displayed on dark mode? What kind of language do you want to watch it in? Do you want your videos to play on autoplay or just have them static as you go through? I think that's something that affects battery life on your phone. So if that's something that bothers you, you might want to turn that off. Showing profile photos, all sorts of things along here. So what you could do, which LinkedIn member profile photos would you like to see? So to me, all LinkedIn members personally, because if you're looking to connect with people you don't know already, you want to be able to see their photo. Now, they may well have put a setting on theirs that says only my connections can see my photo. But if you don't give yourself the option of seeing them, you know, if there is a photo there, you'd want to know. So I always go for all LinkedIn members. Right, feed preferences. Let's go to here. This is space. So they're giving you various different, you know, people you might like to follow, and you can see all of your networking events, etc. Newsletters, hashtags is quite a useful one. We can come back to that later. It seems to have kicked me out, I think, when I've gone back there. Oh no, I am back. Okay. People also viewed. Do you really want to see that list of, if you've looked for somebody, do you want to see the people that other people have looked at? I don't know. For me, I've turned it off. You've got people you unfollowed. Syncing calendar. This is a new one. So if you are in the messaging section and you want to make an appointment with somebody, you can actually sync your calendar so that they can make an appointment with you quite easily. I haven't put that on yet. That's a fairly new one. And sync contacts, I haven't either, because I like to add people on LinkedIn as I meet them rather than just I've sent an email at some point, so therefore I must connect. And then you've got down here subscriptions and payments and partner services. So it shows you what's connected. This one, just be careful of. It's very easy to close your account if you're not careful. But you could, if you've got 2 accounts for some reason, you might have 2 accounts, you could merge them. So that's fairly easily done. So sign in and security is what we're going to look at next. So this is very much your personal stuff. So I'm not actually going to show you this because it will show you all of my numbers and things on here. And as I'm recording this, I don't really want that happening. But visibility is a big one. So that's the 3rd one down on the left-hand side, visibility. So you see where I'm going with all these notifications. Did you know that these existed? I mean, I'd be very interested to know if you knew all this stuff was here, because I think, you know, there are lots of defaults on here and that may work for you or it may not work for you. So it's always worth checking all of this out. So let's go through them one by one. Okay, private mode, profile viewing, select what others see. So I put my name and headline because we've talked before about how we want that headline to follow us around LinkedIn, so that when we are liking and commenting on things, people can see that. If you haven't ticked that one, then you might be missing an opportunity there. So do check that that one is ticked on there. Okay. Edit your public profile. We've done this in a previous one. That's as well where you can make your URL personal. I'm not going to take you to edit because it'll just do that again. Who can see or download your email address? These are the kind of things where you want to think about the kind of protection that you want. So I've got it as first degree connections because they're people I've been happy to connect with already. You could choose it to be any of the ones that you like, but for me that works okay. And you've also got this one down here, allow your connections to download your email address. So for those of us who like to try and create lead magnets and things, you know, we really want the person to have ticked it, but if they've ticked that they don't want to include it, then you're a little bit stuck there. So I'm going to go back to here we are, connections on connection visit. Allow your connections to see your connections. I don't see any problem with that. I think it's quite nice to be able to see which connections you've got in common, because then there might be a nice common thread. Oh, I see you know so-and-so when we've worked on this project together or something like that. So I think that's quite useful. Who can see members you follow? So you may want to change this, only visible to me or anyone on LinkedIn. I've left that fine, that's fine. Who can see your last name? You may have noticed that some people have this on their, you know, just their last letter showing on their profile, and you think, oh, that's a little bit strange, but this is why, because they have said, I don't want my last name shared all over LinkedIn. I'm not quite sure why, because if you're on LinkedIn to meet and connect with people, it's almost a little bit, well, why wouldn't you want your name shown? You know, we're here to be authentic, we're here to be real, and you know, we want people to know that we're real and true. Representing your organization and interests. Show your name and or profile with other content shown. Your information can be presented with job postings and company pages. Well, I've got my company page, so I do want it to be shown with that. If you haven't got a company page, you might want that turned off, or if you're working for somebody, you may want to have that that one on. Profile discovery and visibility off LinkedIn. Now, I don't know whether you've ever done a Google search for somebody and it's come up with so-and-so on LinkedIn. That's because they've got this one ticked, which I think is super useful. You can also manage whether your profile can be found. Yes. So we want to be found. That's what we're doing on LinkedIn. So I would include that. There are other things further down that you can cut out if you prefer. Profile discovery using email address. I've left that to anyone on LinkedIn, and using phone number, I've put everyone, which may or may not be a bad thing. And blocking. You're currently blocking one person. Right, I'm going to move that back because I thought I probably was blocking more, but there you are. Visibility of your LinkedIn activity. So do you want only your connections to see your activity? Who can see that you're currently active while you're using LinkedIn? I think I'm going to change that to all LinkedIn members, because that works fine for me. I want people to see that I'm active and share my stuff. So I think that was maybe a mistake for me not to have had that on. Share profile updates. Now I turn this off because if I've made some changes and then I thought, oh, that doesn't sound quite right, and I've made some other changes, then I don't want my connections all being flooded with, oh, so-and-so's updated her profile. So that if you turn that off, then they don't get an update every time. You may well want that, you know, if you were starting with a brand new project or something, you may well want that to be on. But at the moment, I don't have that. Notify connections when you're in the news. I think that that's a reasonable thing to want people to know about. They mean the news on LinkedIn, not the news. And mentions or tags. If someone tags me in, I want to be able to no, that's not that one. It's whether somebody else. So, for example, if you tag somebody in and you see it goes blue when you're writing out your post, and when you actually post it, the blue comes off and it's just back to their name. That's because they've said they don't want to be tagged in posts. So I know I've had to say to a couple of people, did you know that your tag's off? And they said no. So that may well be automatically on or off, depending on how it was set up at the beginning. And visibility of your LinkedIn activity. Who can follow you? Everyone on LinkedIn. So and this make follow primary, you'll remember when we looked at creator mode, that's when that came in. So that automatically turns over to follow rather than connect. And then we've got the 3 little dots. We can do the drop down to find more. So that's visibility. So a huge amount in there. I hope you have managed to follow along and swap everything over as you wanted. And then we have communications, which looks quite small because I've cut a lot of these down. So I was getting so many notifications. I was getting them on my phone, on my laptop, on my desktop, and my emails, and in the and on the platform. I thought, no, this has got to stop. So I've done a little bit of a cull, I will admit. So let's just look at each of these. So how to get your notifications on LinkedIn. And you've got all of these to drop down as well. So if you look in conversations, as you see, there's quite a lot here. Yes, this goes sort of on and on. So you want to be thinking about, if you've got all of these on, that's another all of those opportunities for them to send you a notification. So we want to kind of cut down on how much time we're spending looking through our notifications to check we haven't missed anything that was vitally important. So these are what I have on mine. Not to say I'm advising that you do that, but it may be that there's that it might work as a sort of a template for you. But I certainly have conversations, if I've been mentioned in conversations, posts and comments, yes, activity on posts and comments I've responded to. So and you want other people to have had that activity as well, because you want to show up in their notifications. So that's how that works. And then we have job updates, confirmation of posts. What's that one? I don't want that on. Confirmation of your posts. I'm trying to think what that would be. Is that just to tell you a notification that your post has been posted, I guess. In mail, I'm not hiring, so I'm not worrying about that. Mentions I've got on. Message nudges I've turned off. That's if somebody's messaged you and about 3 days later it says, by the way, did you forget to respond to that? I check my messages a lot, so I don't feel the need for that. But if you think, oh, I only check my messages, you know, every couple of days, maybe that's a good thing for you to have. Monthly post reminders, that's like updates. New questions asked on your LinkedIn Learning, I don't do that. Job seekers, reminders to post. You know, you haven't posted for a while. Do you need that? No, you know, if you haven't posted for a while. That's just them trying to ensure that you're coming back to the platform a lot more. Responses to your posts, comments and polls. Yes, you definitely want that on, because if you've put a poll out there and somebody has taken the trouble to respond to it and maybe even given a comment, you want to be in there to reply to them and make sure that they know you're aware that you have commented and that you've taken the trouble to go back as well. Results, yes, I think, you know, the polls, they're so important in terms of market research. So I do think that that is that's one you want to have. Social activities for page admins, all this sort of trending stuff. I don't need that. If you remember on the front page, when you've on your home page, on the right hand side, you've got what's in the news. So you've got sort of trending topics there. You don't need to have them in your notifications as well. You know, you've got plenty of opportunity to see these things. And again, is that going to take you away from what you had come on LinkedIn to do? And we're wanting to make sure we're quite careful about the time that we spend on here. Video upload confirmations, well, okay, it takes a few minutes to upload it. Do you actually need to get that confirmation? Not necessarily, but maybe you do. And views of your recent page posts. Well, that's quite interesting to know how many views you've had. However, each post, if you wanted to go and have a look, you can look on each post and look at the analytics, and it'll tell you how many people have seen it. So do you need to get a notification for that as well? I would say not. You know, all of these, I mean, look at all of these, your post featured in LinkedIn Storyline as well. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? But I mean, all of these, you just need to cut it out. There's just too much. So that's the first one in communications. That was conversations. Enterprise products, don't think there's much in there. I've turned all of this off because it keeps trying to tell me that, oh, why don't you want it? Have a free trial. Help center updates. Well, I think if you want something from the help center, you'll probably go and look for it, won't you? In terms of jobs, I'm not looking for a job and I'm not hiring, so I don't need any of this on. But I know particularly Sandy, you'll be talking to people who are in their careers, so maybe it's worth being aware that all of this stuff is here. But that's a lot there to have a look at. Okay, jobs, where do we get to? Network. Okay, so this is where we get all the anniversaries, the invites, and the birthdays. Yes, it's lovely to know that somebody's got a birthday or that they've had a work anniversary. Yes, isn't that amazing that they've done that? But is it newsworthy? Is it really noteworthy? I'm not sure that it is. You know, we've got so much important stuff to talk about. Are we really that bothered about that kind of thing? And I personally think that I would turn that off. But if I just turn this, so because I've put off to all of them, if I turn this on, you can then do like individual ones. So just in case you thought, oh, it's either all off or on, it's not. So, I mean, content recommended by LinkedIn, it can be interesting, but I need to focus on what I need to focus on. So again, there is a long list. So it goes on and on and on. So do you want to get those kind of notifications? If the answer is yes, then tap over now, and it's literally you just click these radio buttons. I am going to turn them all off. And that saved me quite a lot of time looking through my notifications. So let's go back. News. So then we're into the news, and I have got news on because this I actually think is quite important. I don't need all of these things. In fact, for example, I could turn career building off, companies you follow. Now, I like to see that because if I'm following them, I'm following because there's a possibility that I've worked with them before or I might work with them in the future. So it's good to know that they're mentioned because that might give me an opportunity to say, oh, I saw your mention recently on LinkedIn. You know, great that you got in the news feed. Connections mentioned in the news again. Mentions of you in the news about companies you follow. What companies you follow mentioned in the news? Okay, I think I'm just going to knock off the evening wrap up and daily rundown of top headlines. I think I'll keep connections in the news. I'm going to turn that one off because I've got enough things, I think, on news that will work for that. So that's that back. Premium, it's a reminder of this one. I don't have premium anyway, so I suspect if I turn that on, they would want me to pay. But in fact, let's just have a look. Oh, premium. Oh, well, I don't have premium, so, and I don't believe they've got any card details of mine, so hopefully I've not activated anything. And profile. Right, so we have looked at the profile quite a lot in optimizing. So we want to have access to broadcast live video. I know that's something that I've used quite a bit. I like the endorsements, data suggestions for your pages. I probably don't need that. I can't remember actually getting anything that looks like this. Learning courses that are unlocked, LinkedIn learning reminders, updates. Let's leave that. Live office hour learning events. I don't think I've seen any of those. Who's viewed your profile? Your new followers. Well, I know who my new followers are. Search appearances. I don't really need that one either. Although that can be interesting because you think, oh, why are they looking? And that might be an excuse to reach out. You know, I have seen that you search for me. So there we go. Then we go back over to the left-hand side. We've got data privacy. Now, it depends really how strongly you feel about this. Some people are very obsessed about the amount of data that is shared. But again, work through each of these, manage your data. You agreed to update the access that a permitted application has to your LinkedIn data. I think the permitted application is probably my Ecamm Live that let me do live broadcast on LinkedIn. Get a copy of your data. Some people like to see what's out there and what's going on. You can manage your preferences. There's nothing really here in here. This one, perhaps they want to reach out for you and ask you to help with some research. You may or may not want to do that. Share your profile. I mean, I'm not looking for a job, but I think that if you were looking for a job, you would want to share your profile because you want them to be able to see what you do already. So yes, definitely put that in. Signal your interest. So that's gone. Okay. I think that pretty much wraps up. Now, under here, just so you know what's permitted services, if you are using a scheduler, like I've got here, Buffer is attached, so I use the scheduler sometimes, and Hootsuite is attached because they are attached to company pages I look after, and Ecamm Live is the software that I use to go live on, so that's why those are there. And also I noticed this one, since I was looking before, I don't use Microsoft because I use Google, but this may well be of interest to you. To show your work experience in Word. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing there, and then that should take me back to, okay. Let's go back to here. So we've done a deep dive into all the notifications. Good Lord, aren't there so many of them? Notifications and settings. And I think if you have been feeling bogged down by receiving too many notifications and being overwhelmed by all of the information that's coming at you on LinkedIn, then actually going through those is really, really helpful because you can then clear out quite a lot in one go. So we've got just under half an hour left. And what I wanted to do was go over some of the things about posting and engaging, just to ensure that these are cemented in. And I've got a few little nuggets to throw in as well. And these are a couple of things that I thought might be helpful, because I know a couple of you have done a poll, put a poll out there, and we can talk about leveraging those. You know, you've created this content. How can we make it more valuable? We want to be able to boost our our profile status through thought leadership, sharing knowledge of what we do, sharing insight of people we've helped, how we've helped them, and what that difference, what that transformation could mean to you if you wanted to work with me, and encouraging participation. We want to be having our audience wanting to engage with us so that we can build those relationships. So this is one little top tip that I will share with you afterwards in the email anyway. And this was, if you felt that your poll was not necessarily reaching as many people as you wanted it to, and maybe you had a few people in your audience who you felt you could reach out to try and boost some engagement on that poll, and you are wanting to do that within the first couple of days, really, here's a little thing you could put in the message. Send a direct message to them. Hi, whoever it is, I posted a poll last week and would love your one-click vote on it, i.e. it's going to take you a second to do it. I'm not intruding on too much of your time, but I would love to know what you think. Take the URL, where the 3 little dots are, you can take those from that post and post the full HTTP there. And just thanks, I hope you're doing well, and you'll sign off. I think that is a really nice way of really boosting engagement on a poll. And if you've been struggling with getting the audience in front of your work that you're putting out there, then hopefully that is a good top tip, and I'd love to know how you get on with it. So to give it a try, I suspect you'll probably want to start with people you know quite well, and then as you get more confident, you might feel that you want to reach out to people who are in your arena. Okay, so next one I want to look at is really this rundown of the kind of things you want to be doing within your LinkedIn work to make it really successful. So meaningful comments. We don't want to just say, oh, great post, that was lovely. You haven't added anything to the conversation. You might have got your profile in front of a couple of people, but have you actually added any value? And is anybody going to look and think, oh yeah, that was a valuable comment, I'm going to go and have a look at them and see what they know and what they do. So if you're really wanting to be noticed by other people by leaving a comment on someone else's post, then make sure it's a meaningful one. Do have some weight to it, add some value to conversation. Don't try and be too smart with your posts, make them easily readable. Clarity over cleverness is what they tend to say, so try and keep it as clear as you can, but also when you think about maybe including a bit of white space, don't have a whole bunch of text all in one go. Try and have a bit of white space in between, just as easier for people to absorb it. Do make sure you're really using that see more option. And if you don't know what I mean by that, is when you put a post out with an image, which we encourage you to use images. In fact, I had an amazing stat on images. If I can find it, I'll come back to that. Maybe I've written it on here. But when you have see more, basically you want to have a hook at the beginning of your post that isn't going to encourage them, a little bit of intrigue. What's this post about? And if they have to scroll down to see more, that click to see more is an indicator to LinkedIn that you have encouraged somebody to stay on their platform for a bit longer, that you've got something interesting to say. Somebody has made an intention to read your post, rather than it just being what do they call an impression, where it could be that someone's just scrolled by. So if you have see more, it's more likely that somebody is going to want to find out more about what you've written. So do think about that when you are composing your post and the way you leave space. And I know Alexandra does this brilliantly. So if you want to check out how it's done, do check out some of her posts because she does it all the time. She's brilliant. Tagging relevant people. Now, we don't want to just tag everybody because they'll feel like they're being spammed and they might get a little bit upset. So if we think about relevance, and it may be that you've got a group of people who are relevant for lots of situations, but think about what is most relevant for that particular one. So then you, people don't mind being tagged, and in fact quite like being tagged if it's something that they want to see that they've been involved with. When I go to some in-person networking, and they always tag us in loads of pictures, even if we don't appear in the actual picture, and that's quite nice. It's a nice gesture. It's kind of, oh, we're really grateful that you came along to our networking event, and we've mentioned you amongst all these other important people who we love to work with and all that kind of thing. So that does feel really nice. But if you're tagged in just to get your attention, then that's a slightly different thing. Now, if it's somebody you're working with, maybe you're collaborating on a project together, then always tag people that you're working with, because it makes sense to. If there's maybe a slight periphery around that of people that you could tag in who would support what you're doing, you'll know who are the right people. Just don't be tagging in people who have got nothing to do with it, but you would like them to see the post, because that doesn't really help you in the long term. They may even end up blocking you. So do be careful about that. Now, thinking about comments that you receive on your posts, we want to see a response to every comment. If someone's taken the trouble and the time to read what you've written and comment, then please do thank them for it, thank them for their contribution, give them a like maybe. And then what I would do is actually go over to their profile and have a little look at some of their past content and see what's in there that you could maybe comment on or like. It can be a bit difficult if somebody hasn't posted anything for a while, because you don't want to sort of go back and look at their activity and think, oh, okay, they haven't posted anything for 2 months. It's a little bit strange for me to comment on something that they posted 2 months ago. But what you could do is you could have a look at their activity. Maybe there's someone who doesn't feel comfortable about posting very much, but they might be commenting on lots of other people's posts as well. So have a little look at their activity and then see if there's something there that you could add value in with a comment or two along there, because if that's broadening to their network and not just your own. So that's a really helpful thing to think about doing. And really don't post less than 4 hours apart. Posts last quite a long time on LinkedIn, and especially if you've got something that's really building some traction, you're thinking, oh, this is going really well, it's going really well. Don't then go and post something else, because it will distract from the one that was going really well. So if something is going such that you're getting likes or comments a few days after you posted it, then maybe just run with it. Spend your time going around. If you want to be active on LinkedIn, go around and, share some love about and comment and everything. But if you've got a post that's going and you can just then add comment, and, whether that be thanking the people for commenting, you can keep that conversation going. And that is more valuable then, because you've sucked a lot more people into that post, because they'll probably be getting, unless they've knocked it off the back of their notifications, they'll be getting notifications when somebody else has commented on a post that they have been involved in. So do bear that in mind. These not all posts are equal. I think that's probably the same on every platform, really. But if you've got something that's really going well, then let it be. Leave it to keep going. Okay, what have we got next then? Having a conversation in messages already. So if you've if you've already started that interaction, maybe you've done a little bit of stalking, friendly stalking. You've been looking at some things that prospects have been writing, been posting out there, and you've been liking and commenting. And maybe you've just got into the stage where you feel comfortable to start a conversation in the messages, then, and you haven't been connected with them very long, there may well be a post that you have done in the past, fairly recent past, I wouldn't go back too far, that might be relevant to the conversation that you're having. Because, you know, when we have conversations with prospects, they tend to be the people we're looking for, and therefore the post that we put out should be aimed at the people we're looking for. But if there's maybe a piece of content that's done particularly well and is really relevant to that person, what I would do is think about sending them the link. As I said before, you get your 3 little dots on the right hand corner of the post, and where it says copy link, and you just do a copy and paste into the message. So yeah, it would be, and if when you're asking for their opinion, that means you value what they've got to say. And a lot of people like that. They like somebody thinking, oh, they're interested in what I've got to say. You know, they know that I'm going to add value to this conversation. They've asked me for my opinion. Now, quite honestly, if somebody is too busy and they haven't got time, then they may not respond. But it's a really good way of strengthening that relationship. And it may be that you've sent them a voice message, of course. Don't forget the voice messages, because we love the voice messages. But you could send that as a link underneath. It could be that, oh, you know, we've had this conversation about X, and I had a post that went really well recently all about this. I'd love to know what you think. I hope you don't mind. I'm going to drop the link in the comment below this voicemail, and let me know what you think. I'd love your opinion on it. If they do something on it, that would be fabulous. If they don't, well, you know, what have you lost? Nothing. Okay. And these are things that we really, really need to work on. It's not something that I've covered very much in here, because it's been very much about the workings of LinkedIn and how you can get those prospects to you. Video and live video are more of the same. So yes, content. So the types of content are the same as all your content pillars that you've looked at before. It's just delivered in a different format. And we know that with video and live video in particular, that not a huge number of people are using this on the platform. So if they're not using it and you are, you stand out above the others, particularly in your sector. And it might be interesting for you to have a little look around at some of the other people in your sector to see who's actually jumped on the video bandwagon, because there's no doubt about it. We connect through our eyes. We connect, don't we? And we connect through hearing each other speak. So that's why the voice messages are so important. But video is another step on. It's another level. And it really does help break down those barriers and build those relationships quicker than ever before. And the other thing is, I mean, I've noticed recently doing a lot more in-person networking, that I've had a lot of people say to me, oh, I've seen your videos, they're really helpful. And it's quite a weird thing, because we've put that information out there and we never know, do we, straight away, if who's seen it, or, you know, whether it's gone down well. But actually, when you have that kind of feedback, and I know that when I watch who I consider celebrities on LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook, and you see them delivering on video again and again, you feel like you know them. They don't know you, of course, but you feel like you know them. So if you were to transpose that onto what you're doing, it gives your audience a chance to really feel that they know you, so that when they meet you, they feel quite comfortable. You know, they've learned from you already. They've listened to what you've got to say. They know what your values and beliefs are. So they already know whether you're the right kind of fit for them. So it is so hugely important, and I can't emphasize that enough. And you know that lovely Whitney on the call is an expert in video, and particularly live video. So if you need any tips on that, do please get in touch, send her a message on LinkedIn. And hashtag search, we talked a little bit about this the other day, about how you choose your hashtags based on how you choose the hashtags you use in your posts based on how popular they are. I did also emphasize the fact that on Instagram, where hashtags are, well, maybe they're not so much anymore because it's all about reels, but you know, you would see like 30 hashtags. You don't want to be doing that on LinkedIn. It is incredibly messy. Some people say 2 lines. I quite like 3. I think that's a big enough number. You know, I don't know how many people use that search, but what would be interesting from your point of view is to actually, when you do the kind of searches for trying to find the right hashtags, and then you press follow, then you can get involved in the conversations that are happening on that hashtag. So if you're in the coaching space and you put in, maybe there's a specific type of coaching, just to narrow it down a bit, you could have a look on there, see, and I suppose I could actually do a quick, I'm going to do a quick screen share actually, because I think that would be quite helpful. I think we did look at it the other day, but not in quite the same way. Let's see. Let's go back to LinkedIn. So in this search bar at the top, so let's do hashtag, should we do coaching business? How big is coaching business? We've got 967 followers. However, there is some activity on here. So if you want to follow this, then, you know, just click on there, and then you will probably get notifications about that. So do be aware of how many you're going to follow. But there may be, and here's a prime example of your ... more, see more. She's spaced it out so that you only get the 1 line, and then you have to click on there to open it. Good Lord, that's a long post. See, to me, I won't read that because it's too long for me, but you might like that. So everybody is different. But what you can do on here is you can have a look and see what kind of conversations are going on under this hashtag that may well be very helpful for you. So this is 3 days ago. So it's not a vastly used hashtag, but nevertheless, there are a few on there, and there may well be something on there that you would like to comment on. You'd maybe like to start up a conversation. So do think about that. I am just going to go back and look at coaching just to see how big that one is. Coaching. Okay, 175,000, much bigger. So let's have a little follow of that. And I can always change these afterwards. So you can see 15 minutes ago, someone's talking about an introvert. So all different languages, which is great, but it's just EMCC UK coaching. And you can see that there are some people involved, and you might like to go and have a little look and follow them as well. So you can have a little look at the type of other hashtags that they are using as well. And it might give you some ideas for what you'd like to use. Oh. So you can see, you know, some of it's a lot more personal than others. So that's really cute. Okay, so that's the value of hashtags, that even if you're not searching yourself on a regular basis, other people may well be searching, and they may find you in the hashtag conversations. So that is well worth thinking about. Okay, let's do stop share on there and go back to where we were. And we're almost there. You'll be glad to know we're almost there. Okay, so, oh, this was the amazing stat I saw. So some people do still put text-only posts, And if you think about a poll, that's often a text only post, because you don't really need a picture, and actually save your pictures for when you do need them. But an image increases the comment rate by 98%. So imagine what a video is going to do. They don't have stats for that. Or they didn't have stats where I was looking. So I thought that was really, really useful information. And here we are, according to HubSpot, LinkedIn is 277% more effective at generating leads than Facebook and Twitter. So I wanted to really kind of leave you with that and think how valuable LinkedIn is to you in, you know, developing professional leads, developing leads for your business, because that's what we need, isn't it? Leads for your business. And I always use this slide, as you know, it's social media, not broadcast media. I know we want to try and cut down on the amount of media that we consume. So I'll always suggest that you put yours out first and then come back and see what time you've got left. But engagement is hugely important because, you know, it's a two-way relationship. Any business relationship is a two-way. You know, you're wanting that transaction and there has to be some kind of value exchange on a transaction. But we start that value exchange by exchanging comments and reciprocating on each other's posts. So I am going to just come out of, I think it's this one, and see if there are any questions. I'll have a quick look in the chat. Here we go. Thank you, Whitney. Have you got anything you would like to add? Are you in a position to come off mute?
I am yes, off mute right now, and the video thing was really, really interesting, and I know I saw a stat recently on the video usage within LinkedIn and how it almost makes the relationship, like it pushes it further. So I've got a good stat I will find to you, and you are 100% right on the video side. So
yeah,
I love hearing you say that. I was like, yes, that's what I'm here.
Well, I'm doing my best. I'm trying to be on video as much as I can be. I do need to be on more. I know that. But it's you know, it's trying to fit everything in at the moment. But yeah, do you have anything that I haven't covered that you would have liked to have seen or would like to see going forward?
That's a good point. You know what? That's a really good question. It's something that I think what I got to do is kind of step back and look at it, because I think like what you were saying, like, you know, have the more have more where they hit more and it kind of drops down. I had never thought about that. So I think since I'm such a newbie at LinkedIn and I have such a little like understanding, I'm trying to filter it all through what I understand about other social media platforms. So
yeah,
it's almost like I just don't know what I don't know. And so everything I'm learning, I'm like, oh, that I didn't know that. I didn't know. So I'm having a lot of I didn't know that moment.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah. No, it's
okay.
Post last week especially was a big conversation piece for us, was being able to, you know, have like a private quote unquote group that you can do things with. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably a little outside the scope of this, but we'll have a chat about this offline, and we'll see what we can do. Okay. Right. I was given a couple of questions in advance, but I think I have covered them actually in that. Go back to here. We had, how often to post about a lead magnet? We have this ratio 80%, 20%, so 80% of giving free value and content, and 20% sales. And I know that a lead magnet is not strictly sales, so maybe it can fit a little bit in the content, because you're giving away something for free after all. So maybe you could, in your, say if you broke it up 80-20, that you had 4 parts there and 1 part here. So maybe one of your 4 parts of content is, so out of 5, one of your 4 parts of that content is a lead magnet share. And then you've also got a sale in that 1 of 5 as well. So that should work. Tagging people, we've talked about tagging. What is a newsletter on LinkedIn? That is a little bit outside the scope of this one, because I feel that we need to get the posting sorted first. Newsletters are becoming more valuable. They are also, I mean, I have accepted invites to receive newsletters and actually have never received one yet. So I wonder whether people are setting them up and then forgetting that they've set them up. So if you're going to do it, it's one of those things you want to make sure that you're going to be doing it regularly. Very easy to create your own one. You basically write an article and then you can attach an article to a newsletter. And I think you need maybe 150 followers, so you know you'll be fine. When is a good time to start one? When you have time to do it, basically. So if it's going to be another thing on your list that you're going to think, I just can't finish with that, then don't dive in. Wait until you really have got time to look at that. And we talked about audience size. So that's that. And any more questions? I think I've covered everything. So I know that I've got some marketing strategy sessions to set up so that we can look one-on-one on your LinkedIn and your progress and where I can help take that a little step further. So I will be in touch to get those booked in the diary very, very soon. But if that's it on the questions, I think I'll say farewell. And I will be in touch. I will be sending out a feedback form. And if you're happy, I would love to do a little feedback video. I know, Whitney, you very kindly did that for me on a previous course that I did on Instagram. So I do appreciate that. So I'll be coming back for you. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining me on this journey. This was my beta program. And as you know, it was like half the price of the program that it will be going forward, so that I can get your feedback and build it to what we need it to be, what you need it to be, so that you are getting maximum impact out of this learning that you can take forward and create that impact in your business in terms of getting new leads and sales in a nice consistent stream of revenue coming in. So any final words, Whitney?
No, thank you, Nicola. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me, and thank you all. And I look forward to seeing you very soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye.